Welcome to Impact the World, the show for and about creatives, changemakers, and entrepreneurs. This is a conversation episode where a special guest shares with me what they are creating and the behind-the-scenes journey of their experience. Hello and welcome to Impact the World. I am delighted to introduce my next guest. It's somebody that I have been a fan of for many years, Deva Premal, who alongside her husband Miten has been for over 30 years taking sacred music and the power of mantra around the world. We had this conversation when Deva and Miten were quarantined in Costa Rica and had to cancel their tours, and instead had started taking for the first time their work online and able to connect with the online community, which was something that was very new for them. So in this episode, you will see my conversation with Deva. We talk about her origin with music, how she and Miten met, how she felt about her own singing voice and her own musical ability at the beginning of her career, and what her journey has been like so far. And in a future episode, we will have Miten. So please enjoy this interview with Deva Premal. Deva, thank you so much for being here.
It's so nice to be with you. Hello, namaste.
Hi. So I have a personal thank you for both of you that I will offer to you, which is, it was maybe 3 weeks ago. And, you know, we had already set this interview time up, and it was a combination for me that very day of my father's passing, which happened about 5.5 weeks ago now, and also just the intensity of the world that day, that I could feel my own internal compression and this feeling of wanting to go down and in. And something told me to go to your Facebook channel. And so I went to your Facebook channel, and there you were doing one of your live daily Om meditations. And I believe yesterday or today was day 77 in a row.
Yeah, Monday, yeah.
Monday, right. So it was amazing. Within 6 or 7 minutes, everything started to expand, and I just felt reset. And it struck me the power of music as a whole and the power of your music during this time. I can only imagine how many people have benefited from those daily Facebooks that you've been doing to help galvanize us.
Yeah, that's been an incredible time. I mean, we started in March, and we started, I think it was 16th of March, and it was 2 days before we found out that the Costa Rican borders would be closed. And in that week, so much changed, I guess, in the world. I don't know if it was, in different countries, different things change at different times, but we got the full transformation of the world as we know it in those days. And we started, and we had no idea how long we were going to do this. And it's been this red thread. We've been feeling like we've been on this retreat with these thousands of people who come every day. It seemed like there were maybe 5,000 people every day tuning in at the time, and then overnight, I don't know, who knows how many. It said 50,000 views or whatever that means. But I'm so surprised that I do actually feel the connection, even in this virtual non that I can't hear them, I can't see them, but I feel it. I felt it getting up in the morning. I felt I was in this retreat with everybody, and this sweet connection, and it just felt so good to be so blessed to be in a place like this where it's so sane. And I mean, it doesn't even look different, the world here, except that we weren't allowed to go on to the beach, but otherwise things are pretty much the same, except the Blue Spirit is closed. But that we could share something from the space of our relaxation and actually feeling good in this place here, and giving some of that and contributing some of that to the people who didn't experience this time quite so happily and easily, who were so challenged with their living situation and the economical fears and I mean everything. I mean we don't even need to say it because everybody knows what.
Yeah.
So it was it was such a blessing to be able to be able to give this and to realize that it was received in a way that it really meant something to people. And there were so many messages, you know, that were saying this has helped me through this time.
Yeah.
And we didn't know when we were going to stop. We thought, I mean, we didn't even think of stopping I mean, we did it 70 days and 77 days in the end. But we had no idea when and if we were going to stop. And at some point, it just felt like, yeah, now it's the time to make space for something new, you know, because obviously it was it was like our whole day was focused around this because of everything that it brings, you know, the communication that it brings and the setting up and the whole mindset. 2:00, you're there, you know, and it felt, and it was beautiful how it was for both of us, you know, the same. We felt the same, you know, like this seems good now, you know, and we'll do it again. We will do a weekly gathering, and we'll do other things. At the same day, we also canceled our retreats in Corfu, which we do for the last 23 years.
Wow.
And that's 2 times 300 people coming together for the Gayatri festival there. So it was a huge day for us to somehow let go of these 2 big, beautiful communal events. And wow, it was a melancholic feeling, but we are also very good at letting go.
Yeah.
Travelers, you know, we do, things change and finish all the time and other things start all the time. So
yeah, I was thinking that about you guys, especially you know, and in the way that you're often referred to is modern nomads, and the fact that you travel around the world bringing community. And I was curious. I thought, you know, if there are many people who do similar things to you, but I can't think of many in the field of what we all do who I see traveling quite as much. So it's interesting that you're modern nomad, you've kind of become digital nomads in a way. You've been able to reach people everywhere. But I wondered what the experience would be for you guys to be, even though you are stopped at Blue Spirit, Costa Rica, which is one of just the most heavenly places on earth, having run retreats there and spent time there, still, I wondered what the effect on your body would be, given you're so used to this movement. And
I mean, we've been traveling for 30 years, and the longest we've been anywhere was about 28 years ago. The first 2 years we were in India, and then after that we traveled, and 6 months was the longest time we lived anywhere, and that was about 28 years ago. And since then it was always everywhere shorter, but still we're every year about 3-4 months in Australia. And so we're kind of used to being in one place for 3 or 4 months. So we are here we've been here only 3 months now. So now it's getting
now it's itchy.
But it is. I mean, when we pushed out that boat, that not going to Corfu, Greece, which was such a huge decision, because it impacts so many people and us and our love for being there, but we felt like it was the wiser thing to do, given Miten's age and kind of high risk factor, and of being in a group of people coming from all over the world and traveling there, and the whole everything that we don't know about, because nobody knows what happened now anyway.
No, exactly.
And we decided that now there's a sense of space, or like, wow, we've never had this for a while, you know, like such a long space without traveling ahead and no real commitments. But we're gonna actually create an online 2 online programs, which we are really looking forward to doing. One is that we do a group for couples, and it's we're going to call it Union, and it's a couples retreat which we do together with our friend and co-leader Rafia, who we've been working with for many years. So it'll be for couples to have a 4 or 5 day kind of retreat where we lead them through meditations, have satsang with the music, chanting, and a beautiful, retreat that they can do at home or in a place of their choice. So maybe they want to go for a holiday somewhere. So that's
That
beautiful.
is great. Were you able to do those things when you were on such a touring schedule, or is that really birthed because there is the space?
We didn't do online things before.
No, nothing. Yeah. So it's funny, the
We
gift.
we wanna we are people who sing in community.
Of course.
It's about getting people to sing and that whole ecstasy that it brings and the silence that it brings to be together and sing. This is so. But we've been surprised and it's been like back to the beginning, being just the two of us singing together, no band. We've had such a beautiful band the last 2 years and huge, beautiful stage and light and the sound is just wow. And now suddenly back to just the real essential, just the two of us with the guitar, and the tambura. And it's been so beautiful, really very, very precious.
Yeah, and so beautiful, the effect of it. As I said, my experience of just the two of you was like, the other is great too. But it's interesting what these times have done. And there's something I want to ask you, because I think many people, when they hear about your life and they hear that you've traveled everywhere and that you haven't stayed in one place for more than 3 or 4 months, I think a lot of people think about that and it seems like a very appealing fantasy. But I also know that that's something that you have to calibrate yourself to. And I'm curious, when you two began that way of life together, were you both immediately down for it and it was what you wanted to do, or did it take some getting used to, or did it just organically happen? I'm curious how that became your way of being.
We've never had a plan. We've never had when some people say, where do you want to be in 5 years, or we just really, we met in the ashram. I was 20, Miten was 43. I got singing through him because I just wanted to be with him. And then for us it was like we feel it's time to leave the ashram and the cocoon and that nest of the ashram, which we've been so cozy and happy in, and now we feel like we need to spread our wings and fly into the world and live in the world. But we want to share what we love from the ashram, and we know that this is worthwhile sharing, and that this is what we love to do. So we just started off like that, and we didn't think, oh, let's always travel, or let's not have a home, or let's do this for 30 years or anything. We book one in advance what we think feels good, so we don't have like long booking, so it's really whatever we feel good in the moment, pretty much. And we've been on the same, we just have felt the same way, there's not one saying, oh, but I want to stay home, or I want to have kids, or I want to have, I don't know, we were just both,
That's great.
Yeah. So there's no recipes, just luck, or I don't know, blessing, or I don't know.
Well, you mentioned wanting to sing with him, and one of the things when I was just reading this morning some of the materials that I was sent about you, I was struck by, not too surprised, but struck by that you weren't that confident with your singing voice when you started, which I thought, of course, is great because you're one of the most known voices in sacred music around the world. So I'm curious how that was for you. And also you said that you got into singing really because you just wanted to be with Miten. How did your voice emerge?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with music, so it wasn't like totally alien to me. I grew up with playing violin and piano, and my mom was a musician, and I was in a school that had focus on music, a slight focus on music. So I knew I was kind of musical in that way, but I also knew that there was nothing outstanding about my musical abilities. In school, I was not like some But then and in Osho's ashram, in Osho's world, music is such a huge part of meditation. It's such a huge key and doorway into meditation. Either music to make us dance and celebrate and move the body and then come to a still silent space, or music that takes us more and more into silence. Not music for entertainment, not music for, social, not talking, like we would never talk while there was music playing. The band, if we had the musical nights in the meditation hall, we wouldn't be talking, obviously not, you just sing your heart out and you have your eyes closed and you dance so I love that so much. But I just never thought I would have anything special to contribute in as a singer or musician or anything. And then when I got together with Miten, I just said, look, maybe I could sing second voice, and I knew I could find a second voice. I knew I could hold a tune. I had a good ear for being in tune because of the violin playing. And the first time I did, I don't know if you read that, but the first time I asked him, he said, it's in tune, but it's not my style. He said, very English, very very diplomatic, I guess. And then I dropped it, and I thought, okay, what am I thinking, And then a few months later, we sang together. He sang. He was sitting on a bed singing with his guitar, and I just joined in, and then he realized, wow, maybe there is a blend, maybe there's some. So that was then my apprenticeship in being in the ashram, which is like actually the most challenging place to start singing, because we are singing to people who are completely receptive and perceptive and vulnerable, because they are there to meditate, and whatever. Like, you just imagine there's 2,000-3,000 people sitting in silence in white. You can't even come in a meditation hall if you have a cough. It's pin drop silence, and you are there putting that first note into that silence, or and you put the music into that silence. So it's very, very like magnified. How it's received, what you put in there, where it comes from, what space you are in, what you're putting out. So I had an amazing apprenticeship there, with Miten guiding me and understanding the power of music, and I really loved singing harmony with him. I didn't actually need anything else, I just loved being this kind of, these two birds flying together with the voices together. But also I felt I needed to find my own thing, voice, to be able to, just for the relationship also, and for my own self-worth, and just feeling like I also have, it was Miten and his girlfriend, because Miten was the one who was known in our world as the musician, and that was when the mantras came back into my life, after I had been already with him for 7 years. And that's when I rediscovered the Gayatri mantra. And then I realized, because before I couldn't sing alone, that was first 7 years, I would never ever open my mouth alone, like it just, not even in sound check. I was so shy and so insecure about being heard alone, because also English, like I still can't really sing English alone, I'm still. And I always feel it's this thing, once we find our song or where we're at home, then things fall into place, and that I didn't know that this was going to be actually the most obvious thing, which is, the mantras that I had grown up with as a child, and that I'd basically forgotten about, kind of forgotten, or left as something that was from my father, and I didn't really want to go back there, what he'd given me somehow, didn't really. And then singing the Gayatri mantra and realizing I wasn't shy when I was singing it, and that actually it touched somebody else also, and it felt so natural and so easy. That was the big surprise and the big unfolding, and then just surprise, big surprise.
Well, one of the things that I learned about you in preparing to speak to you today, you have a beautiful track which is called 7 Chakra Gayatri Mantra, and it's your first melodic composition. And that was just a few years ago that you...
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So how did that come about? How did you bring that melody through to the world, if that was your first melodic composition that you've released?
Yeah, I mean, I just never see myself as a composer, and I also don't give much space to become a composer. I don't give myself much time for it. I'm sure it could have happened earlier because I get very distracted or satisfied or sucked in or something by practicalities in life, and so but I always secretly felt like if I did any composing, wouldn't it be amazing if it was the 7 Chakra Gayatri Mantra? Because as I started singing or chanting the Gayatri Mantra again that I'd grown up with, I found out about this long form, which we call now the 7 Chakra Gayatri Mantra, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be so beautiful if that could be a melody that came out of me? And the other one had come out of a combined, effort, the first one. So there was, it was, so this one I thought, no, this would be really beautiful. And actually it was Joby Baker, who is the producer of that album, who is a dear friend, an incredible musician. And he just did not let me get away, before. He was just like, no, you really gonna do this. We tried and nothing happened. And I said, it's not gonna happen. Let's just drop it. He said, no. And he came with just the pulse and the key and just this one note and this pulse. And then this melody came and I was like, oh God, whatever melody.
Did it come, you were vocalizing to create the melody, or how did it land?
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to know, first I started with this, let's just go up the scale, because it's the 7 chakras, so it's the 7 levels, so it's obvious, let's just start there. So that's that third part where it goes up, which came actually first. And then after a while I felt not right to sing this all the time. And then I thought, we could just go much more simple, just use 2 or 3 notes. And because he has this incredible ear for harmonies, he can make 2 or 3 notes sound like a symphony, I mean, when you take the melody without all the harmonies, there's not much to it, to this melody.
And the harmonies are extraordinary on that song. It's the song that I came away from your Deva album remembering that song, and it was afterwards that I learned that was your melody. So I was like, oh wow, that's the one that really stood. And the harmonies were blowing my ears in a good way. When I heard it, I was like, wow, listen to that. So
that's Joby, those harmonies. I love harmonies, and I'm really good with singing them, but I would never have been able to think of them like the ones he created. So he gave them to me to sing. It's like painting by numbers. So but I love it. I love stacking my voice, singing 3 times the same voice, and then 3 times the next voice. I just love it. And it was interesting that the melody at some point, just before all these harmonies came, it just fell into place, like, oh yeah, that's it. And then it didn't even feel like mine anymore. It felt like this is the melody, that I'm going to sing. It's not the melody for everybody, but that's the one that I'm going to sing and share. And that it just feels like it feels right. There's no more, should it be there? Should it go there or whatever? It's just, and that was a beautiful experience, that there's an end to composing. It's not like, oh yeah, I could go forever to make this better, or, or doubts or something. And so I'm really, really happy.
It's beautiful. What I really love about you sharing a bit of your story, you know, one of the reasons that I started the show was because in my own journey as a creative, as a healer, as a musician, it was always hearing perhaps what other people had to overcome in their journey that reminded me whenever I was scared or feeling less than or not worthy, or to kind of just push through. And I think what I love about learning a bit more of your story is, for the longest time, to me, you have been a very known, world celebrated singer and musician for what you do. Like, I remember, I'm 44 now, and I think when I first started going into what were then new age stores when I was about 16, 17, I remember your guys' CDs being there like 25 years ago. So I love hearing that you are going through these creative births, and also that it took a while to find your own confidence with your voice, especially as your voice is what you're known for. I think it's so important that we all remember that about our gifts and our lives.
Totally.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love that I've been invited to do this by other teachers or at retreats over the years, but one of the things that I love seeing you two do, and it has made me do it with you on video, is shaking the body.
Oh, great.
It's so good, you know, it's so simple, and because it's not something I'm ingrained to do as a routine, I get invited by you two who have ingrained this as a routine to do it with you on video, and it takes 2-3 minutes, and you just stop. And could you explain shaking the body to anybody who's new to it?
Yes. Oh, shaking is fantastic. It's one of those tools that we have inside of our bodies. If you have a body and you can stand up and you can move it, you can shake. I mean, you can even shake in a chair.
Sitting down, yeah.
So, or it's like singing or humming, you know, like we all have these amazing tools within our bodies that are readily accessible pretty much any time, and that are so powerful. And shaking, the way we like to shake is that you stand really rooted on the ground, that your feet are maybe shoulder width apart, and you don't move the feet. You're really like the feet are like roots of a tree, that you are rooted, but the rest of the body is flexible and can move, and that you close your eyes. And the shaking, you know, there's so many different ways to shake. So either you just close your eyes and you just feel the shaking almost start by itself, which is very gentle, or maybe it comes up from the ground and you can feel it taking over your whole body slowly. Or you feel like, no, I really need to shake something out, and I really need to kind of, you know, use my arms and hands to get rid of stuff. And yeah, just there's no right or wrong shaking. It's just what feels good, and as loose as you can be, and as shaky as as you can be. And you know, I literally in long flights, I will go to the restroom. You know, they often have bigger ones, a little bit bigger ones, and I shake a few minutes in there, you know. And Miten always jokes that I'm the one who people go like, how long is she going to stay? when there's nobody there waiting. But it makes.
But I bet the energy feels good when they walk in after you've been shaking. You've like cleared the whole thing.
I mean, it's so like after, you know, like if you have a sitting job, you know, to get up for a few minutes, it's
Sure.
so, I mean, we usually like to shake longer, like 10-15 minutes, but after 2-3 minutes, you feel the difference already. And it's the same with an Om, you know, to chant the mantra Om. You do it 2 times, you feel different, you know. It's incredible. So it's really just about remembering to do it, you know. That's the only problem.
Yeah, and that was what was so great about seeing your video that day. It was you were my remembering, and you were my leader, and it was like I did it for about 3 minutes with you. It wasn't the 10-15, but it made an immediate difference. And I definitely feel, especially right now, that there is a need for us to shake things off and move things through, and because the intensity, things can get very stuck for us. I had something I wanted to ask you about. There's a lovely story that I wanted you to share about the autistic children in the classroom, and the fact that your CD was played every day in relaxation hour. Would you be able to share that story with us? Because I thought it was so meaningful.
That's a beautiful story. That was actually just through an email that came many, many years ago, where we received this email from a teacher who said, "Oh, I've been using your Gayatri mantra every lunch break or rest break for my children, who are non-verbal autistic children." And they started, some of them started singing along. And then one day I couldn't play it, and they went to the CD player and pointed and kind of asked for it. And that was so long ago that we received this message, but it was such a strong, it touched us so much, because it just shows the power of the mantras beyond any concepts, like those children didn't have a idea that they listening to a mantra, and that it's maybe the most powerful mantra, and it's for enlightenment and purification and all these things. That they don't know any of this, they just feel it, and and they show the effect it has on them. They show that they are drawn to it, attracted to it. So that means a lot to me. Or when animals are attracted to the mantras, and you realize, it's. So we had this message, and then we became friends with Patrick. Do you know Patrick? He also has a house here in Blue Spirit.
Oh, no.
And he is the CEO of the Center for Discovery in upstate New York. And it's an amazing place for autistic children and adults, where they have like 2,000 people staff for 300 people living there. I mean, it's incredible care and cutting edge technology to challenge them and to give them the best soil for life and for education and for unfolding their creativity and everything. So they invited us to play for the children and the adults there, and for the staff as well. And we've done this a few years now, and this is so incredibly, amazingly touching, that the kids come and that they are attentive, they are quiet, they are restful, they are relaxed. They are the staff. Every time we've done 3 times, and every time they come, the staff, I just can't believe it. We never see them for 1 hour or 1.5 hours sitting like that without getting restless or nervous, or and that's so beautiful. And it's so beautiful to have that chance also to give to be able to play for them, because they're very sensitive, amazing beings, and that they would let us play for them. That's a big honor.
In my mid-20s, I used to, once a week, I would do play therapy with this wonderful autistic, now young man, Johnny, in the UK. And I was one of many people who were trained to work with Johnny by his mother and one of Johnny's facilitators. And the thing that I remember finding at that time, and was advised this would connect us, was music. And we would sing made-up songs together, and there would be a very different quality of presence and connection. And music being the universal language, it was the way that we could so often connect. And still to this day, I see Johnny's still working with music with different people who work with him, and a guy called Tom. And so music is this incredible, it bypasses so much and really gets to the core of who we are. Yeah. Like you said, the sensitivity of people with autism is really high. So Well, Deva, thank you so much for talking to us today and for sharing some of your experience and your journey. And thank you for what you have done to impact our world. And a personal thank you from me for being there all these years, but at the same time, even just in these recent weeks, I think what you've been doing is so needed. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Liam.
You have been listening to Impact the World. For more of my work, please visit leeharrisenergy.com. This August, I'm doing something a little bit different. From the 18th to the 26th, me and my team are bringing to you a virtual Soul Magic experience. We've run Soul Magic retreats for the last 4 years, and we would have been going to Costa Rica this October for our 5th one. But because we can't, and also because I've been feeling a calling to hand over the microphone to my guides, the Z's, a little more of late, we have created a brand new experience for you called Transmissions 2020. In it, there will be 5 live broadcasts which will be entirely channeled. These broadcasts will focus on you accessing more of your magnetic energy. I've chosen to broadcast all of these live because that way I know the material will be specially curated for those of you who show up to take this experience with us. Added to this, we have for you a special music album, and it's sound healing pieces from Deva Premal with my spoken words weaved throughout. And when you do sign up, the first track from the Transmissions Sound Healing album will be available for you immediately. So to find out more about what Transmissions 2020 entails, you can visit transmissions2020.com, and if it resonates for you to take this special journey with us, we'll look forward to welcoming you there.